Hey, gang. I am back. I hope you are too. A couple things. One is if you were with me last week, you watched me paint most of this painting in downtown Raleigh, but you never saw the finished product. Well, actually, I've been fiddling with it right up until yesterday. It's a real luxury for me to have time to go back in and mess with the painting after it's officially finished. So I've enjoyed being able to go back into that, just little things here and there, mostly adding more light here. That was light, but I've dragged the light in that direction. That's the main thing I've done. Now, what I wanted to do is yesterday's project. Here it is. Again, you didn't see it quite this finished, but now that it's at this point, I actually want to go ahead and modify it a little bit more. So done with this one, signed, ready to be finished out around the edges and ready to be sold. By the way, all these paintings are for sale. If you're interested, make an offer. Minimum, just to give you a ballpark, is $500. And I obligate myself not to sell anything for less than $1,000 if I don't want to. So go ahead and make an offer. Now this painting I have here, again, it's nice that all of this is dry, and I'm fairly happy with it. There are just a couple things. One is the shadow on this tree doesn't look as much like a shadow as I need it to. I'm going to fix that. That's a drawing issue. And then up here, I don't know if you can see this, there's a lot of sun hitting this side of these large boughs way up here. And I think I can get a lot more believable image in this painting if I hit some of those images up there at the top. Hang on a second. I need to do something about my music or YouTube will be squawking at me for sure. Okay, so I'm just mixing up a light, whatever this is, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of titanium white, tiny bit of Indian yellow. Okay, I'll start here. I guess I'll start up here. So it's not that difficult. Okay, it's not the right color. Add more white to that. It's not that difficult because of the chaos that I've already put on the canvas, it's easy to make up new stuff. In other words, again, it's the picture in the clouds, right? We all played that game when we were kids, the picture in the clouds game. Large boughs, branches, limbs are already being suggested to me by the chaos that's on the canvas. So I don't have to invent these branches out of whole cloth, as the expression goes. So I see one limb right up here. So all I have to do is encourage that one a little bit. And this is going to be a two-step process. One is I'm going to do the sunny side of some of these limbs. Then the second step is I'm going to mix up some of this pale blue sky color and abut the sky right up against the limb. I don't know if you know this about trees. This would be in my How to Paint Trees Paint Tech sidebar, if I ever do such a thing, that leaves don't grow, of course, on limbs, typically on most trees. Leaves grow on the twigs. So the large trunk limbs of a tree are very often have blue sky on each side of them because there aren't many leaves on each side of them. Okay, how many of these do I want to do? Here's a place where I need to eliminate a little bit of sky. Because there's a blue sky right where this large limb needs to be. So again, still just organizing the chaos in the crown of this tree so that it makes more sense. I've got 2. Do I want any more? I don't want to overdo this. It would be really easy to do too much of this. In other words, I want the viewer's eye to do what I'm doing right now, which is playing, I'm calling it pictures in the clouds. You know, our brain finishes the picture. My mind is doing that right now. I want the viewer's mind to continue to do that with whatever I leave. I don't want to spell everything out. So I just have to give just enough indication, just enough to indicate that these are huge limbs up in the middle of the tree. Whoops. Here's a limb that comes down and then disappears right here. So we need to fix that. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and continue to use these same brushes, give these a quick rinse, and mix up some sky color, which I'm pretty sure was straight phthalo blue and titanium white. So I just have to match the color of sky that's already there on the canvas, on this tree. Okay, let's see if I've got the right color. We'll find out. We'll all find out together. Yep, close enough. And now that I'm clear that this is a large limb, now that I'm clear that that's what that is, I can come back and do some blue also on this side of that limb. So again, one of the principle of what does a tree look like? Large limbs are often sided by clear sky. That's where sky holes proliferate, is on each side, on the front and back of large branches, the large branches, because they don't grow leaves, just the twigs. Someday, maybe, when I do that how to paint trees, I should figure out a way to build a scale model of a tree so I can communicate very clearly. It's basically a sphere. It can, depending on what kind of tree, but most trees, they're essentially a sphere, right? Whoops, noise coming. There we go. A sphere with a twiggy, spindly superstructure inside the sphere. Never mind, I'm not going to try to explain it any more than that. I'm going to let that go. Let it go with that right now. Just about done, and I think when I finish this, I believe, oh no, I forgot. I'll work on the trunk down there. So let's go and I'll zoom you in on that so you can see what I'm doing there. One of the problems I discovered with this trunk is as I rendered it, as I left it yesterday, was that the bump on the side of the tree corresponds to a band of sunlight. So that's a bad mistake. You know, shadow here and bump in between. That's a bad idea. So I need to do 2 things. One is I need to add a little bit of shadow. So I'm mixing up over here some transparent, dirty purple. I've used that expression a lot this week. Have you noticed? Dirty, whatever color. So let's put a shadow right through the middle of that burl, I think that's called. Is that called a burl? Somebody know? That might do it right there. So I've just added some shadow. Now let's add some light. And there were two things that were wrong with my shadows, the way I left them yesterday. One is this particular shadow got wider and wider as it came down. When actually, if it's the shadow of a branch, it's more likely to get more spindly and thin as it heads around the tree. So I'm going to divide it in half. You see, so now it's two shadows. And yeah, and I think this shadow right here, this part just got a little too heavy. So I'm going to thin that up. Now let me look and see if I'm accidentally doing any order. So easy to mess up. Like, are they equally spaced? And so they should not be equally spaced. It's so easy to accidentally make them equally spaced. So I've got, again, a lighter, brighter, whiter version of this warm light on my brush. Shadows, of course, I said yesterday, shadows should be a very careful mixture of hard edges and soft edges. Some hard, some soft. And again, the easiest way to do that, there is no easy way to do it. The easiest way to do it is to do it in layers. Okay, does that look like shadows? I'm not entirely convinced. So hang on. And if I get myself in a real pickle here, I'm going to leave you guys alone so I can paint undistracted. I think the color of that is making it look less shadow-like. Let me try this. These two connect with each other. That might be causing me problems here. Let me join these two together. Okay. Oh, now I've got two shapes that are almost identical. See that one and that one? That's ridiculous. Isn't that crazy how that can happen? Fiddle, 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 and I end up with two things almost the same. Which one do I like better? I like this one better. So I'm going to eliminate this one up here. Okay, we're getting closer. Oh, by the way, this is a great time to take off glasses. I'm sitting here squinting. There is one, believe it or not, you young people, believe it or not, there is one slight advantage. There's one silver lining to presbyopia. Is that what it's called? Old eyes? Presbyopia, I think it's called. It's what happens around the early 40s. You start needing glasses where you never needed them before. One advantage is, if you're an artist, is you can stop squinting. You just take your glasses off. And there are, in fact, times, that's why we squint, because we're trying to eliminate the details and see the big picture, right? But I can take my glasses off, and the squinting effect is automatic. Okay, I think that's better. Just one problem now. Do you see what it is? Evenly spaced. Great, this is turning into a wonderful clinic for you guys. Watch me screw up several times in a row. Just watch me do it. Because that's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's divide this band of light in half. And see if that solves the problem. Oh, by the way, when you're doing shadows, you always, just like everything else that you paint, you always finish with light. You never finish with dark. You never finish with the shadow. You finish by applying the light. I'm going to raise this up a little bit so I don't have to lean over so far. And let's see if I'm still in your view. I bet I'm not. So hang on. Bear with me for a moment. Yeah. I'm going from bad to worse here. Now, one nice thing is I could take a rag, dip it in Camsol Turbinoid, wipe off everything that I've just done in the last several minutes and get back to where I was a few minutes ago if I really, really get desperate. That's one of the nice things about painting wet on dry. Okay, I'm going to get more radical. What if I eliminate that shadow completely? Now we might be getting somewhere. If nothing else, I hope you guys are enjoying this, especially you perhaps beginner artists, seeing, yeah, that sometimes this is what it's like. You just keep hammering away until you achieve what you're after. That is better. I'm not done yet, but I do like where this is going. Mixing up some more dirty purple. Now remember, boy, I hope you remember this. You get dark with transparent colors. So every time, let me show you my palette just for a second. I don't usually show you my palette because I only have one camera and I keep it trained. Forget the juice. So here's the shadow stuff that I'm using right now. It's transparent. See, lots of liquid in it. Transparent. Let that sink in. And here's the light stuff. Opaque. Okay? You get light with opaque colors and dark with transparent colors. I wish everybody understood that. I really do, because the world would be full of better paintings. So it's very important that the shadows that I'm applying, there's no white in this paint. It's transparent.
Hello, Africa.
Hey, Izzy, I'm broadcasting if you don't mind. And then you get light with. If you're a little bit confused about that, dark with transparent, light with opaque, then please, when you finish here, you're in YouTube already. Do a search for Dan Nelson Mud. You should be able to remember that. That's not the name of it, but those 3 words should do the job. Where I demonstrate quite convincingly, I think, the reality, and I explain why do people make that mistake. Okay, I am finally starting to get happy with the way this is going. Now let's see what happens when I put my glasses back on, see if I still like it. Yeah, I do. I love this soft edge over here. I am going to come in, though. I'm getting some more titanium white mixed in with this pale brown, and just come in here with a few brighter highlights. Do you remember that rule? That it's nearly always a good idea to come back when you are in the opaque phase of painting. Almost always a good idea to come and do a slightly lighter version of what's already there. I want to make sure that the color I've got down here matches some of what we see up here in the tree. Okay, I think I've gone out of your viewfinder. I'm gonna stop there. I have the luxury of not delivering this to a gallery tomorrow, so I can continue to look at the painting for a day or two. And I'm happy to say I'm happy with it. So the 2 changes that I just made We're adding the light side of the limbs up here and then blue abutting those light limbs to give the illusion that there's big limbs up there, and then did this part. Now, as I look at that right now through the viewfinder, this looks too bright, but we'll see. In life, in real life, it doesn't look that bad. Okay, so boy, this has been 20 minutes. I can't believe it's gone this long. Let me see if you guys have left any comments. I think you have. Welcome back to my studio here.
What?
Comments, come back. There we go. It takes a minute for some reason for them to come up. Hello, Heather. Thanks for joining me again. $1,000. Wow, don't have that much. Well, neither do I, Painterly. And if you're an artist, I'm not trying to sell these to artists. Hey, Joanne, thank you. I like my tree too. Appreciate it. That's right. All of us artists getting together and commiserating here. I can't afford that either. One of the jokes I make all the time when I'm talking to people, especially on the street, and they ask me how much for a painting, and sometimes I think they're thinking I'm going to say like $75 or something, and I tell them $1,000, and they go, whoa, and I always say, I know what you mean. I can't afford my own paintings, and that's really true. I can't. Boy, here's a new friend, Paul S. Why do you paint with 2 brushes? My goodness, dear my friend, you hang out here for very long at all. You'll get an earful. That's why I paint with 2 brushes. Yes, it is mostly to balance out left-right brain. That is, you nailed it. That is the main reason. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Hope you subscribe so you can watch me more. Heather, do shadows on big trees like that ever go upwards as they wrap around the trunk? It's conceivable, but not likely, right? It would take some pretty unusual gymnastics of the branches in the sun to create an illusion of branches of shadows going up. Very good question. Could be done, not likely. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for responding here. So that's it for now, and I'm calling this a separate episode. Later on this afternoon, I'm going to be back to, so you don't get confused, adventure number 254. Yeah, going back to 254. Got it, Heather. I agree with you. Thanks, folks. Again, I'll be back in a little while. Appreciate you watching.